welcome to my podcast, Soul Expansion and Inspiration. This is Series 2, Episode 15, and my name is Allie O'Shea. Today, I would like to give a very warm welcome to one of my friends, Sheb Giner, over there in Australia. Hi, Sheb. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing amazing.
Great.
How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful, thank you. It's early, well, it's not that early morning. It feels like early morning to me because I had a late night last night with Vivian being over, but I'm doing great, and I'm absolutely delighted that you're here with me today. So thank you so much for joining.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Allie.
You're welcome. So Sheb, for everyone that doesn't know, is a well-being specialist and a life coach. And what she does is she helps people to release emotional and physical pain, which is just amazing. So Sheb and I, for those of you who don't know, worked together on a group called the Consciousness Creators back in January, where we presented to the people, one presenter each day presented to everybody, really good information and inspirational things that they could learn. So check that out. Sheb's in there in the video section. And do you want to tell everybody, first of all, Sheb, whereabouts in Australia you are?
Well, I'm in a place called Newcastle, which is about 2 hours north of Sydney.
Wow. And what's the weather like there at the moment? Are you in the winter? It's cold.
It's cold, yeah. So we're not quite in winter yet, but we're definitely getting there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's so weird because we're just literally, the 1st of June, it's really our summertime here in Ireland. So it's just beginning. But we're lucky in Ireland if we get sun at all. Unlike you guys. But you say that your spiritual journey really started for you with your career as a clinical soft tissue therapist. And over time, your intuition became stronger with that. And then, of course, you did your Reiki practitioner course, and you also did an undergraduate degree. And that was in science and human movement. Is that right?
Yes. So exercise, sports science. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you work a lot in that field, don't you, with physical hands-on work, don't you?
Yes, so I do a combination of both. So depending on the people who I work with and where I work with them. So a lot of my coaching clients, for example, obviously the ones that are overseas, there's often Zoom calls that have been undertaken. So obviously the people that are local or closer, I do a combination of both, depending on what the individual needs are.
That's amazing. Brilliant. So you coach people about you help to relieve stuck pain, don't you? As we said already, emotional and physical pain. So for people that don't know, do you want to explain a little bit about how you go about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess during my time as a remedial massage therapist or a health and wellbeing practitioner, so I've been doing this for over 10 years now. And so what I found was that I discovered that some patients relied heavily on treatment. And so they never seemed to get better despite my many attempts to try and ease some of their symptoms. So what I found that these patients were never free from the physical or their emotional pain. And so basically what was happening it was their perception of themselves. So what I found was after studying coaching, after trying to understand how the mind works and how the mind-body is correlated and linked together, I discovered that it was a lot to do with a perception issue. So perception of mostly about themselves, about their belief system, about how they viewed the world, their external environment. So I got cracking and I did a lot of studies, and then I just sort of took a course in Reiki. So somebody suggested maybe some energy work, that is a modality in energy work, and I got quite intrigued by it. And so I was studying science, and then when I got involved with the Reiki side of it, and then things just really turned around quite quickly for me at that point when I just integrated the two elements and the two components. It's just, it was mind blowing. And there's something seriously, something like this should seriously be considered for all practitioners and all practitioners who do this sort of healing modality, because there's something that really needs to be said about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you researched all the science behind it, and then you have the hands-on, and then you have your coaching, which is brilliant to bring all of that together. It really helps, doesn't it? Because mindset as well is so much of, you know, what people don't understand in today's society. It's so important to get the mindset right, and to have the positivity, to be here, to be present in the moment, and all of those types of things.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Exactly.
So you say that you've been inspired over the years by the usual suspects. So Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, Wayne Dyer, Abraham Hicks, Deepak Chopra, Bob Proctor, Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale. So my question to you is, out of all of those people, if you had to choose one, only one, who would be the one that you would choose that you would say impacted your life the most?
I think they all sort of impacted me at different stages of my life.
Yeah.
When I was looking at connecting the mind-body components towards my work, I think I related to Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza, mostly because his background was quite similar with the trauma that he had, and then how he went about and healing himself. And he obviously has a scientific background as well. So listening to that and researching, reading about that, and bringing it all together. So I think maybe if I had a choice, it would have to be him. Yeah, but it's a tricky question because, as I said, they each and every one of them have a big part in my personal development. They play a massive role. So I guess at different stages of my progression, different stages of my growth, they all played a major key role.
Yeah, good answer. And you know what, as I said, the usual suspects, because I've obviously asked this question to a lot of people, and you know, those names appear over and over and over again on people's answers to that question. So I wonder, you know, well, I'm sure that they do know that how much impact that they have on the world, but it's pretty amazing. Do you want to take us through, because you talked about Joe Dispenza and him healing himself. I actually personally don't know the story of what was wrong with him or what he healed himself from. Obviously, I know Joe Dispenza's work, but I don't know that story. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind?
I'm only just going by from what I read from him. So it was an accident, and I don't know. I'm not going to tell the story like crystal clear. I'm just going by recall memory. But it was a bicycle accident, I believe, because at the time I think he was racing a triathlon, where then he had an accident somewhere along the line, and there was bones broken. There was, an inability to, restructure. There was, thoughts of operations and surgeries that were involved at the time. And I believe Dr. Joe Dispenza went against that and decided that he would take on board some self-healing. And I believe that's how he sort of combated all the physical and functional and all that kind of the dysfunctions that he had at the time when he went through the incident, the accident. I think, I'm pretty sure it was a bicycle accident from recall memory. I'll have to check my notes, but that's pretty much what I can recall at the moment.
That's pretty amazing, because actually I interviewed a healer the other day. Well, he's not really a healer. He is somebody who healed himself instantly. He had prolapsed discs in his hips and back and all kinds of things. His name is Michael Luhman, and he now helps other people to heal themselves. And literally I witnessed this and I went live with him the other day, and I witnessed people who couldn't go up and down the stairs without being in pain. And after the call with him, we watched them go up and down the stairs without being in pain. So instant healing is something that we can all do for ourselves, which is why I'm bringing this up, because of the story that you've just told about Dr. Joe Dispenza. It is, it is possible, and it's about believing. And as Michael Luhman said the other day, it's about getting to that knowing that we can do that.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Allie, I've just quickly jumped online and had a look at Heal Your Life. So it's a Louise Hay website where Dr. Joe Dispenza, this is a 2014 article on the Louise Hay website where Joe Dispenza writes, in 1986, he got the call on a beautiful Southern California day in April. How I had the privilege of being run over by a SUV in a Palm Springs triathlon. So there you go. So that moment changed my life and started me on this whole journey. I was 23 at the time and a relatively new chiropractic practitioner at La Jolla, California, and I trained hard for this. So I was there. So that confirms that. So he was. There you go. So he was 23 at the time. And if I go on, continue reading this, just skimming over it. So he discovered that he broke 6 vertebrae. So he had a compression fracture in his thoracic, which is the middle of the spine. So thoracic 8, 9, 10, and 11 and 12, plus a lumbar. So it was quite a severe injury here. The vertebrae in the spine stacked like vertebrae. So if you can imagine our spine, the 8th thoracic vertebra, the top segment that I broke, was more than 60% collapsed.
Wow.
So
amazing, isn't it? Wow.
Anyone listening to this can, Google Joe Dispenza's story, and it's called the placebo effect.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you for looking that up. I do appreciate that.
No, that's okay.
It's such an interesting story to share. Right. Yeah, it's such an interesting story to share, though. So and even though I obviously am familiar with his work, I didn't know that story. So perhaps the listeners out there didn't either. So it's absolutely fascinating, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you've been doing some wonderful work over there. I know in Australia, you've recently hosted your own retreat with another friend and colleague of yours. I'm not sure of her name, so if you want to give her a shout out.
Hey, Laura.
And you've also just recently completed a Women's Heart Summit. Is that what it was called? Am I correct?
Yes, that's exactly what it's called, Allie. Well done.
Yeah, so I haven't actually had a chance to speak to you since you've done it. So I believe it went amazing for you. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about both of those things? Because, even though they're in the past, it doesn't matter. I'm sure that going forward, you're going to be doing more and more of these events and types of things. So.
Oh, absolutely, Allie. It'd be my pleasure. So basically, four of us women got together and we decided that we would put together a Women's Heart Summit. And what that is just a summit that allows us three bring our experiences and our knowledge to a beautiful group of women, and we're basically bridging the gap between science and spirituality. So a couple of us have some medical backgrounds, a couple of us have some strong spiritual backgrounds, and we sort of brought the two together, and it turned out to be a powerful day. There was lots of breakthroughs, lots of positive feedback, and when we ended the summit, we all sort of looked at each other, thinking, wow, we are seriously onto something here. When we work in collaboration, Allie, and I know you know about this and you've experienced this and still experiencing this. When we work in collaboration, something really magical happens. The synchronicity that, the people that they experience, and just what folds after the event or even during the event, it's just the growth that comes out of it. It's beautiful. It's an absolute beautiful feeling, and rewarding, and also rewarding as well. So I know you know what I'm talking about here.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And it is about empowering each other and getting the information out there from everybody else that you're working with or collaborating with, so that we can help more people.
That's right, and the time has come. I mean, the time has come for people to start waking up. It's up to us to help raise that level of consciousness, you know. And when people tap into that essence, that divine essence, well, they're not going back. You know, they're not going back to where they were, and it's impossible. Knowing what you know now, feeling, thinking, you know, and feeling those experiences and those emotions, you simply can't go back to sleep. You know, life becomes purposeful. You know, you feel like you have a purpose in life, and then passion grows from that, and life is beautiful, and then beautiful things happen to people who feel that life is beautiful, and then you're on the journey to a transformation, really, aren't you?
Absolutely. And what came to mind as you were speaking there was the quote by Rumi: "The door is wide and open, don't go back to sleep."
I love it.
Love it. So
yeah.
I had to put that one in there. So yeah, absolutely. And what about your retreat then, Sheb, that you did with Laura?
Yeah, so Lara is on thriving. So we've named it Thrive Retreats. So we've called it that. And it's basically for any women who are looking at thriving, who feel like they're stuck, who feel like you know, they know that there's more to life, but they simply don't have the tools or the strategies to help them get there. So we build a platform for them to build the confidence, increase their level of self-esteem. We'll give them the tools that's going to help them, empower them to take their whatever their strength is, whatever their strengths are, and we provide that by helping them heal from inside out. So again, it's changing those belief systems. It's helping them see the real light in themselves. So, and that's, we've got our second one coming up in October this year. So we're busy trying to schedule that in and try and get everything working in order. And that's happening at the beautiful Lake Macquarie here at Lake Macquarie, which is not far from Newcastle.
Wow, that sounds amazing. So if anybody wants to book that, we're going to give all your details at the end anyway, but do you want to put it in now as well?
Sure. So any information can be found on my website, which is magicmindscoaching.com.
Brilliant. Thank you. That sounds amazing. So, yeah, so anyone that wants to book that retreat, I know that all the women on the last retreat, they looked like they had an amazing time. I saw the photos, and I know that, you know, anything that Sheb will, you know, be hosting is going to be amazing. So, so the other thing is, I just want to touch on very briefly that your origins are from Turkey. Your father is Turkish, isn't he? Yeah.
Yes, both my parents.
Oh, both your parents, sorry. And you can read tea leaves, can't you?
Oh! Allie! Yes. Well, apparently I can. Yes. I'm learning.
Oh, I just think that's such a fun thing. I just think it's so fun because, you know, it's a kind of a thing going back years, and not many people kind of would hear of that anymore. So we just had to put in that little bit of fun element to you.
Yeah, so, my mother's huge. Very intuitive, very in touch with that sort of thing. And I would always feel inspired by her. And it wasn't up until a couple of years ago that I thought, hey, I want to have a go.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until that was when I discovered, oh my gosh, really? Are you telling me the truth? You know, so, but yeah, it's something I like to do. Fun.
Oh, brilliant. The screen has just frozen. You've come back now. So you say you want others to know that you are not what you believe to be. You are more than that, which you have been led to believe. In other words, you are worthy. You can afford anything you want. You can travel wherever you want. You're entitled to do all of those things. And you more than certainly can change, you say. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Absolutely. So we have been programmed certain beliefs, and those beliefs about ourselves and our place in the world sometimes don't fit very well with who we really are. So those beliefs often are the beliefs that dictate the results that we get in our life. So, for example, when I was growing up, one of my beliefs were that being brought up in a low socioeconomic environment, that I wasn't good enough to study. I wasn't good enough to go to university. I wasn't smart enough. I didn't have the money or the financial backup. So those type of beliefs can tend to become instilled at a young age, So ultimately, if those limiting beliefs, so because that's what they are limiting beliefs. We're limiting ourselves. We're creating self-sabotage for ourselves. We're not living our full potential because we're listening to these lies, these thoughts, these beliefs that we've made up. So those beliefs, limiting beliefs, if they are not actioned in an appropriate manner, often what will happen is that the individuals can go on life believing that they're either not good enough, or they have certain physical ailments or symptoms, when in fact they only think they do. So it's not really true. So a lot of what we think and feel is not true. It's a perception. It's it's the meaning that we give the experience at the time. So I believe that every one of us has the potential to heal from the inside out. I was able to combat a autoimmune disease, hypothyroidism, a couple of years ago, where I was told that I was going to be on medication for the rest of my life. Now, fortunately, through self-healing techniques, I was able to stop myself from taking medication and eliminate that disease from my body. So, sorry, Allie, I missed that.
I said amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I personally experienced both sides of the coins myself, both on a physical level where I wasn't very well, on an intellectual level as well, where I thought that I was never good enough to, have the house that I wanted. I was never good enough to study where I wanted, or, have a good job, or all these limiting self-sabotaging beliefs. But I guess the message that I want to put out there is that you are good enough. You are worthy, and you are definitely deserving, and anybody can achieve. You can achieve anything and everything you want. And Allie, you are a queen at this, so you know exactly how this works. We just need to feel it, think it, and we just need to feel it, like really embrace it. But we have to decide for ourselves, what is it that we want? And often it's not a question that we ask ourselves. We're not actually asked that question, because we get so caught up and tied up with life, and life becomes monotonous. It's not until you get to 50, you realize, oh my gosh, there goes half my life, What happened? How did I get to this age? How did my daughter become 20? Or, so these type of questions often arise. So that's why I incorporate mindfulness as part of my treatment modalities, because it's important to have that mindfulness component in everyday life, so that we can tap into the now, the present moment, which is the only moment, which is the only time that it ever matters.
Exactly.
The present moment.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, you explained that so beautifully. Of course, we do all have limiting self-beliefs that we need to look at and to examine in our lives, to let go of those things that no longer serve us, as you said. So thank you so much for that. You explained it beautifully.
Thank you.
So just to wrap this up, would you like to tell everybody again what services that you offer? And even though we've already covered it, but just to recap again, and so that they can get in touch with you should they wish to avail of any of your fantastic services, Sheb.
Yeah, of course. So I help people become unstuck. So on a coaching level, on a mindset coaching level, I help people become unstuck. I help them find their purpose, their passion. So I help them bring back wellness into their lives. So, and obviously for people who are local that I can physically get to, I help them on a physical level, and I integrate both mind-body alignment. So that's what I do on a face-to-face, but on a like what we're doing, Allie. So I meet with you online and we work through strategies and we work through some scientific, tailored, evidence-based practice that's going to realign both mind and the body.
Fantastic. And they can reach you at magicmindscoaching.com.
Correct.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today, Sheb. It's been an absolute pleasure as always.
It's been fun.
Thank you. And so we'll say thank you and namaste for now. And listeners, thanks for watching and tuning in.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Allie. Much appreciated.
Thank you. And goodbye to everybody. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.